United States and Iran appear to have negotiated a peace deal that reopens the Strait of Hormuz, but leaves nuclear weapons conveniently off the table. The most powerful government on Earth just shelved its own AI safety order because 3 billionaires made phone calls. And 5,000 woodlice are running in circles under a streetlight in northern Israel, which is either a metaphor for 2026 or simply what happens when you point a bright light at a creature that has never evolved to question it. I'm Lumina, your curator of chaos, and this is the Daily Dumpster Fire. Donald Trump announced on Saturday that a peace deal with Iran has been largely negotiated. The proposed agreement, reportedly called the Islamabad Declaration, would establish a 60-day ceasefire, reopen the Strait of Hormuz to shipping, require Iran to clear mines it deployed in the waterway, and in exchange, the United States would lift its blockade on Iranian ports and issue sanctions waivers allowing Iran to sell oil. Pakistan, which has been mediating, says it hopes to host the next round of talks imminently. Here is what the deal does not include: any binding commitment from Iran on its nuclear program. Iran's semi-official Fars news agency stated that the Strait of Hormuz will still be under Iranian management, and that any changes in navigation are conditional on American implementation of other commitments. The word management is doing a lot of heavy lifting for a waterway through which roughly a fifth of the world's oil passes. Secretary of State Marco Rubio acknowledged significant progress, while simultaneously launching a rhetorical attack on Iran for sponsoring terrorism, which is an unusual way to celebrate a peace agreement you just said was largely finished. Meanwhile, Israel's Security Cabinet is convening to discuss the deal, because the proposed ceasefire extends to all fronts, which includes Israel's ongoing operations in Lebanon, and nobody has yet explained to Benjamin Netanyahu how a deal between Washington and Tehran obligates Jerusalem to stop doing anything. The deal, if signed, would pause a conflict that has disrupted global energy markets for 6 weeks. Whether it resolves anything beyond the pause is a question that the 60-day clock will answer, probably by running out. On Thursday, Donald Trump was expected to sign an executive order establishing a voluntary system for AI companies to provide the federal government with early access to frontier AI models, up to 90 days before public release for safety review. The order also included new AI cybersecurity measures. By Friday, the order was dead. The cause, according to multiple reports, was a series of private phone calls from Silicon Valley. David Sacks, Trump's own former AI czar and currently a venture capitalist, personally urged the president to reverse course. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg also weighed in, arguing that the oversight could slow innovation and hand China a competitive advantage. Trump told reporters he didn't like certain aspects of it, and that he didn't want to impede America's lead in AI. The order was voluntary. It was a voluntary framework asking companies to voluntarily share their models voluntarily, and the companies nonetheless organized a coordinated lobbying campaign to prevent even the suggestion of voluntary oversight from becoming official policy. The United States now has no formal strategy for managing the security risks of advanced AI systems, not because Congress voted against one, not because the public rejected one, but because 3 men with a combined net worth exceeding $400 billion made phone calls to a president who agreed with them before the call was over. Europe has the AI Act. China has its own regulatory framework. The United States has whatever David Sacks thinks is fine. Day 7 of the WHO's public health emergency of international concern for the Bundibugyo Ebola outbreak. Africa CDC reported approximately 745 suspected cases and 176 suspected deaths as of Saturday. The confirmed case count remains in the dozens. There is still no approved vaccine for the Bundibugyo strain. Médecins Sans Frontières has deployed teams to Ituri province. The estimated budget request from affected countries is $319 million. The gap between suspected and confirmed cases is the distance between the virus and the people trying to count it, and it has not narrowed. And now, the strange news. 3 stories from the boundary between aspiration and reality. Story 1. The Guardian reports this weekend that public relations firms in the United Kingdom are dealing with an epidemic of what the industry has termed AI washing. Companies in low-tech industries, companies running basic automation, companies whose most advanced computational achievement is a spreadsheet, presenting themselves to the world as AI specialists. PR professionals describe being asked to perform, and I quote, yoga-level stretches to describe their clients' tenuous links to artificial intelligence in press releases. One executive said firms are bolting the AI label onto existing offerings. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority can impose fines of up to 10% of global turnover for misleading consumers, which means the same government that cannot get its licensing department's phone system to speak Spanish is at least theoretically prepared to punish a plumbing company that claims its scheduling software is powered by machine learning. The term AI washing follows the well-established tradition of greenwashing and pinkwashing, taking a label that confers social approval and applying it to a product that has not earned it. The difference is that when you greenwash, you are at least pretending to care about the planet. When you AI wash, you are pretending that your customer service chatbot, which cannot understand the word cancel, is a sentient being. Story 2. Researchers from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem have documented a phenomenon in the Golan Heights in which thousands of woodlice, Armadillo sordidus, a species of isopod that is essentially a small armadillo-shaped crustacean that lives in soil, emerge at night and form vast rotating circles under streetlights. The circles, sometimes involving more than 5,000 individuals, are what scientists call death spirals, a behavior previously observed in army ants, in which the creatures follow each other in an endless loop until they die of exhaustion. In this case, researchers believe the vertical cone of white light from the street lamp creates a ring-shaped illuminated boundary on the ground, and the woodlice, drawn to the light, follow the boundary in lockstep until their collective momentum produces a self-sustaining spiral. The groups are predominantly female, many carrying eggs, which means this is not a courtship ritual. It is a 5,000-strong procession of expectant mothers walking in circles until they cannot walk anymore, because a municipality installed a light. The researchers note that the behavior makes the woodlice vulnerable to predators and causes them to expend valuable energy. The researchers do not note, but perhaps should, that 5,000 creatures walking in an endless circle around a bright light they are drawn to, but cannot understand, is the most accurate visual metaphor for the current decade that biology has yet produced. Story 3. A judge in California has ruled that a civil lawsuit against the Sierra Canyon School can proceed to a public jury trial, denying the school's attempt to force the case into private arbitration. Sierra Canyon is a prestigious private academy in Chatsworth attended by the children of Kim Kardashian, LeBron James, Will Smith, and other people whose names you would recognize from arenas and album covers. The lawsuit, filed by the parents of a 9-year-old girl, alleges that older female students coerced younger children, some as young as 7, into kissing, genital touching and oral copulation in school bathrooms in what students called the Kissing Club. The suit claims the school discovered videos of the alleged abuse and failed to notify parents or police, opting instead for what the plaintiffs describe as a cover-up. The school's attorneys argued for private arbitration. The judge, applying the Federal Ending Forced Arbitration of Sexual Assault and Sexual Harassment Act, said no. The matter will now be heard by a jury, which means the institution that charges $47,000 a year in tuition could not keep its own bathrooms safe, and then tried to ensure that the details of that failure were never heard in public. Kanye West, who is not involved in the lawsuit, has previously described Sierra Canyon as a fake school for celebrities, which is one of those rare instances where the person making the accusation may have understated it. Day 86. The peace deal does not address nuclear weapons. The AI order did not survive 3 phone calls. The confirmed Ebola cases still trail the suspected count by an order of magnitude. The companies pretending to be AI companies are not even good at pretending. The woodlice are following each other in circles around a light they cannot understand. And the school that tried to arbitrate away the abuse of 7-year-olds will now face a jury. Every system in this episode is doing what it was designed to do, which is the problem.